still chairman of the Masco Medical Center Board. We started this back in, I'm a third generation farmer in the Grand Prairie area. And my grandson just come back with an ag diploma from Olds, so he'll be the fifth, as long as the input costs don't keep going up. And then I was in the oil patch for about 42 years to help pay for the farm, and retired in 2022. So I'm full-time farming. How we got on to building a medical center. I know it doesn't sound right, a farmer and an oil patch guy trying to build a medical center, but had a situation in my family and from 2000 to 2002 where my wife had been going to the local cancer clinic in Grand Prairie complaining about a lump in her breast, and they kept pushing her off, and she forced them to take a lumpectomy near Christmas of 2002. And it turned out to be stage 4, and they gave her 30% chance to make 5 years. Pulled her file out of there. Lucky we got to Edmonton right away and met a fine doctor there, Kelly Dabbs, who worked at the Misericordia and at the Cross Center in Edmonton. And she said, "We have no time. We have to throw the kitchen sink at you. This is a very aggressive cancer." And we asked her if we could go to the Mayo for a second opinion. She said, "By all means." And when we come back, we asked her if she would work with them a bit because there were some new drugs coming into Canada at the time. And she said she would, and the combination of the two of them, my wife is still here today. She's gone through a pretty tough time over the last 24 years. Went through treatment from 03 to 06. Excuse me. Had a hip replaced in 06 and another hip in 08 and her shoulder in 2014 on the damaged side of the radiation, heavy chemo. And since then has had her shoulder out 7 times. It just kept getting infected, and they stopped taking out the implant, or they removed the implant a couple of years ago, and they're not putting another one back in. So she has nothing from her elbow to her shoulder, but still stays active in the community and on the farm, and still rides horses. But in our journey, we ended up in 2008, ended up at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. And when we walked in there, just like we walked through a time zone, and just the way they were organized when we got there, and the treatment we got right away and the answers. We went there for several years from 2008 to 2021, actually, but 2017 we were there for another reason, and within 2 hours they told us what the issue was and what had to be done. And prior to that, we'd ran around Alberta for just about a year. So when we got out of the foyer, I said to Sherry, I said, we need to go back to Alberta and beat on the health system and the premiers and ministers to try and get a team-based specialist clinic in Western Canada. A few days later, I met with the directors of the Mayo Clinic in Rochester and asked them if their company would consider building a facility in Western Canada. I didn't care where. And they said, "No, but we'll partner with you." And I said, "Oh, why is that?" They said, "Well, they thought they could populate North America. That's why you hear about Scottsdale, Florida, and Rochester." So they couldn't get those 2 new properties up to the level of care they mandate at the mother company. So they started partnering a couple of decades ago. And as soon as those clinics would open, they would exceed their expectations for the level of care to a patient. So they did a study on that and found it was driven by entrepreneurs in the communities they lived in. Just like you folks sitting around the table today trying to solve issues within your community and make it a better way of life for your residents. So we come back and started working. We come back and started approaching the government. Miss Notley was in charge at the time. And we met with Sarah Hoffman and her group. And then Jason Kenney got in 2019. And within 3 months, he reached out to us in Grand Prairie with Minister Shandro. And we met in July in 2019. And that's what we started. By then, I had a board of 12 people. And the first meeting with Shandro, I looked down the table and realized it was all 2nd, 3rd, 4th generation Grand Prairie area people that were at the table. So from then on, we've been just campaigning, trying to first start out with getting a team-based specialist clinic in Grand Prairie. And with that, we had a letter of intent to partner with the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, for them to be our backup specialist virtually with our clinic in Grand Prairie. We worked with that till 2022, and they had to back out of the agreement due to COVID taxing their medical professionals to the point where a bunch of them were quitting. They'd done 91,000 virtuals in 2021 at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, besides their daily activity. Just as that happened, the University of Alberta approached us to help them find space in Grand Prairie, because that was right about in November when the Premier announced University of Alberta working with the college in Grand Prairie and Calgary working with Lethbridge to expand training family physicians out into rural communities. So through our training with the Mayo Clinic over those few years, we realized we had to find them space in Grand Prairie close to the hospital so the students could work with postgraduate education students, plus with the research center in the hospital. So we went from just trying to do a specialist clinic anywhere in town with team-based specialists to all of a sudden taking on building a building in the right spot in front of the new hospital. And since then, we started engineering design in 23 and got that done in 24, went out to bid to a contractor, and we're currently under construction. We're working with the province to still get the team-based specialist clinic in place eventually. So I'll start with kind of our slide presentation. I think it was sent ahead to everybody. You probably reviewed it. I don't see it up on the screen there at all, but I'll just go through my slides.
We have it in our table packages.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So the reason we called it the Masco Medical Center, when I was coming back in 2017 from the Mayo with that letter of intent, I started thinking, what would we name the clinic? And from my oil patch business, I pipelined all through Western Canada for 42 years, started out laboring and ended up fortunate enough to own my own companies the last 10 to 15 years of the career. And I was always out in the Indigenous communities. So I felt it very important to have something that they would recognize, feel comfortable with, feel welcome to come to the building. So I hired a young lady from down the road here at Sucker Creek. She was going to the University of Alberta at the time, and asked her if she could find me a name that meant something to Indigenous peoples of the North. She came up with a bear, an eagle, and a fish. And I chose the bear because I knew I was up against a culture and everybody's scared of the bear. If you ask a young Indigenous student or their parents what Masco means to them, it was a mystical bear that found a lost child and returned him to his parents with the knowledge of medicine and teachings generations ago. I get challenged once in a while of why we go MASKWA instead of MUS. Reason being is MAS is a partnership with another Indigenous and another culture, outside culture, and MUS is 100% Indigenous partnership. We formed a not-for-profit and charitable organization, and that again come from our training with the Mayo in Rochester, was make it not-for-profit and charitable and nobody profiteering or privatizing off of it, and gain the confidence of the communities that any surplus funds will go back into research and education in the medical field. Benefits to the Peace Country will be improve access to specialists and quality of care for patients in the region, help recruit, train, and retain doctors locally in the Peace region, and the result will be no overall increase to healthcare costs, but it will actually reduce it over long term by intercepting difficult diseases sooner. Our building is located right in front of the hospital and right beside the parkade. And we're working currently with Alberta Infrastructure to build a pedway over into the parkade so you can transfer back and forth between the building indoors. And it's also just beside the emergency and at the hospital there, so that a lot of in 2024, 51 of the walk-ins at the emergency ward were should be seeing a family physician, but they go there because they don't have a family physician, and they tie up the emerge staff. So with this building being next door, they can go over there and keep the pressure off of emerge. The next one is how our 3 floors. The ground floor, we have a parkade under the building, and also the first floor is the U of A teaching clinic. The footprint of this building was basically based around their request for 22,000 square feet. And so our building ends up in an L shape on that 2-acre lot. And their plan there is to train, they'll have 20 resident students in that facility a year with 17 trainers, teaching them their last 2 years of residency, 10 in their first year, 10 in their second, with their second year graduating out in the community. Through the model in Prince George, about 70 to 75% of them students will stay in the North region because that's where they've spent most of their time in education and training. And the goal is to get students from this area in Northwest Alberta to be attending that those courses in Grand Prairie. The next one shows you if a student graduated out of High Prairie, get himself a bachelor's degree, either at the college here or college in the region, and then enter the U of A medical program in Grand Prairie. And that's a 4-year program at the hospital in their training research center there, and then would come over 2 years to our building and graduate out as a family physician. The University of Alberta is planning, once to get everything working well, is to train and graduate right up to general internists, surgeons, and obstetricians. Where we're at today is we signed a 60-year land agreement with NWP about a year and a half ago. It's a 40-year with 2 10-year renewals. And the reason we had to sign it with NWP is they're in charge of the land trust for the province, Alberta Structure, Infrastructure. They own the land all around the hospital. Here in January, we signed a 25-year tenant agreement with the University of Alberta and Primary Care Alberta to give them the first floor and us be the landlord. The second floor is a pharmacy and a daycare and a restaurant. I guess I didn't go through all the floors there before. Sorry about that. And the reason for that is they're missing some wraparound services near the hospital. So the daycare will be primarily for hospital staff, students of the med program. And if they're not filled after that, it'll be open to the public. And they'll run 24 hours a day with the capacity to handle 80 to 100 kids per shift. The pharmacy is a full medical supply pharmacy. So if you need a brace or an arm wrap or something and you're being released from the hospital, they'll come over with a cart and go through it with you and the family and arm you with a phone number in case you need some help. The restaurant is just going to be a health food restaurant with some hot plates and so forth, and also be able to cater to the hospital if families wanted it. The development of the application for the specialist clinic funding with Alberta Health is in progress. We hired a consultant in January that actually helped Alberta Health write the ARP program, which is the Alternative Relation Plan for Compensation of Specialists and Doctors. And we're having that draft submitted here probably within the next 2 weeks, and hopefully be successful in obtaining an arrangement where we can have about 10 to 12 specialists or GIs in Grand Prairie on this floor, so we can start creating a team-based specialist clinic. We hired a contractor last May, Clark Builders out of Edmonton. We're involved in the whole process. We did a 5B contract, so it's transparency, and we got 70% local trades. One of the reasons we targeted that is so that the trades weren't always after an extra, because they understand the scope of work of this project and what it's going to mean to their kids and grandkids and relatives in the region. We signed the contract at the end of May there at 35.7, and my most recent financial budget review with them about 2 weeks ago was 36.2. And with the winter we've had so far, that's keeping things pretty much in line, but we're getting a lot of gift in kind support from the local suppliers and vendors in the region, which is really helping us to keep our price or our construction costs down within reason because we're trying to raise that type of funds. Commenced in June and, we commenced in June 2025, and the Pedway approval currently in progress and is also in coordination with Alberta Infrastructure. Capital fundraising so far, we've got 17.5 here in front of you, but we have pledges and that of about another 2 million, but they haven't come in, so we haven't put them down on the paper here. One of the pledges is coming from one of your local residents of your community. I don't want to say too much yet until they want it released, but it's a substantial amount. Gift in kind contributions, we're anticipating it to be 2 to 2.5 million by the time construction is done. And where I come up with that is Rentco Equipment in Grand Prairie is giving us 55% off on all rentals, and we're taking them direct, so we don't have a 15% markup through Clark Builders. Northern Mat did lay down mats for our lay down area, plus on site now, so we're not tracking mud out onto the streets. And JDA Trucking supplying some cranes at cost to help us keep our costs under control. We applied for a $15 million capital fund grant from the province. We did it in 2025, but at that time we were a little bit late, and they kind of threw us around the hallways and then told us we were too late. Through all last summer, we met with the Premier, the Finance Minister, the Health Minister, and a few others, and we were fairly certain we were going to get something in September. Then the teacher strike happened, and they froze Treasury and said they were moving us to this February. So we put in another submission in November, unsolicited proposal for 15 million with the province in late November. Immediately auditors were on us and directors from Capital Infrastructure. We went through that from the 1st of December right to about 2 weeks before the budget period on about 4 Zoom calls and 30 or 35 different questions on cash flow and sustainability and so forth. Nothing scared us. They were all normal questions, and we were quite shocked to find out that we got nothing out of the budget for it. How we came up with the 15 million is if you take the, say, 36 million, you add in engineering, design, project management, and gift in kind, and even hours from the board, put some time and dollars to that, it's pretty close to a $45 million project. So we figured if we asked the province for a third and municipalities gave us a third and we raised a third, it'd be like a P3. And still to this day, we're surprised that we haven't got funding for it. Tenant improvements were, if we can get the base building sheltered in and watertight by November, December, then they'll start tenant improvements in January. The University of Alberta would like their space in around June to get teachers and trainers and equipment in and receive students in July 2027. The next page is just kind of a timetable, a schedule. Like I said, kick off June, get it watertight in late August, and then a bunch of the base building done the rest of the summer, and have it ready for occupancy next May or June. And then we have a few pages of pictures here. A couple you'll see where just the other day our beams are going up. The wood we got from Austria, we went out to 4 proponents. 3 were Canadian, 1 Austrian. They were $1 million cheaper with it delivered to site. And the 3 Canadian, we had to truck it from their facilities in Edmonton and British Columbia. We had a forestry engineer do a study on the specifications of the 4 proponents, and the Austrian wood was a little higher tensile strength, better glue lam process, and a better finish to the product. Me and my wife went over in January and toured their facilities, and it's state of the art. We actually visited one of the most automated facilities in the world under that company. The next are just some more pictures. They've actually really advanced the type of system the Austrians use in their connectors. It's almost like a Lego set, and they're going up very fast. The next one is a page of all the municipalities that have supported us to date. Your neighbor here with Big Lakes, they used our calculation, which I'll show you in a minute. and they're giving us 873,000 over a 3-year period. And Northern Sunrise on top of the valley there at Peace River, there's given us 300,000 over 2 years. The rest of them, towns, villages, and a few other municipalities are constantly doing some funds over time or whatever works within their budget. The one thing we stress is we're not here asking for money if it's going to impact the tax base of the residents. We should be able to find other ways to do it. If people, if they have enough in reserves and stuff and want to help out, that's much appreciated, but we definitely do not want the tax base to the residents hurt. The next page was some funding and community partners. You can see by the numbers and names that we've gained huge support throughout the region. And you look down the bottom, our board members, we've put in about 600,000 of our own money since 2020 to get it to this point, and 35,000 volunteer hours and over 80,000 kilometers. The next one, if you're on the page where it shows the maps of Alberta, on the left is how it currently is to go see a specialist. Everyone's traveling out of the northwest to go to Edmonton, Calgary, Red Deer. And on the right is our vision with Mascua to be the collector of the difficult cases in Grand Prairie, and when needed, go to Edmonton or virtual out to other specialists. And we're currently working with the University of Alberta to be our specialist backup virtually, or other retired specialists throughout Western Canada. We have another one that we don't throw in here yet because we want to get our building going first and get started, but we have a third one that shows that if surplus funds and stuff are recognized from the building, that we'd look at putting a satellite office in High Level, one in Peace River, and probably one here in High Prairie or Slave Lake, but probably be more like High Prairie. And that way, the family physician, if it's beyond their education and training on a patient, they could send them over to an office dedicated here and virtual into our clinic, and possibly save the family from leaving the community to get a diagnosis. The next one shows how we broke down when we first started our campaign for 35 million. There was 207,716 residents, and that breaks down to about $170 per every man, woman, and child in the Northwest for the capital investment of the building. And like you see here, your population times 170 is 443,190. Anyone that donates from this community, whether it's a resident, and like I mentioned earlier, you got a resident that sounds like it's fairly substantial, will come off of this number. We're not trying to double dip. The next one, we come last year and presented to the previous council, and we said we'd come around every year just to update everybody and let them know where we're at and what's happening. And this time what we're looking for is if you happen to know of a retired teacher or an interested person in the community that would be interested in going around to the schools a couple times a year and start letting grade 7 and up know what's happening in Grand Prairie in case they want to get interested in a medical career, whether it be a nurse or LPN or a doctor or a specialist, that they can do it more locally and stay closer to home and reduce costs to their funders. The other one is if you had a champion in the community that wanted to help out with fundraising for the facility, or even down the road to help fund a satellite office here in High Prairie. So that's what our asks are, and that's kind of brought you up to date there. Hope I didn't stay too long and overdo my welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Ken. I appreciate all the effort that's been put into this, and certainly it's a worthy project. You mentioned the health careers. In fact, our Health Professionals Attraction and Retention Committee, with the help of Bethany Rose, the regional consultant, we had a health careers set day, I think in February, which was very successful. I'm going to now ask each of the councillors to make any comments that they wish to, and we'll probably expand the topic a little bit, okay?
Okay.
Councillor Martinson.
Good day.
Yeah.
I was just wondering how long the funds over time for the various communities went, like, did they do it like 2 years, 3 years, 5 years?
It's whatever every
Very-
council wants. If they need to do it over 50 years, we'll do that too.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever to help move it along.
Okay.
Yeah, we have some that are said they do 7 years at $5,000. And that's fine. We'll find a way to fund it provincially or raising funds or wills or whatever over time here. We're working on should have it here by Friday, a construction proposal from ATB, and the local municipalities are going to support it just to make sure we get the building built and completed on time. So,
Councillor Temple, any comments? Councillor Shunter.
Just out of curiosity, help me understand how you fund operating costs after the building's built and it's operational. Is UFA paying rent for their floor? The provincial government cuts you a check every year to pay for the doctors. Where does the money come from after you're up and running?
yeah, once the building's open, the building itself can fund its own operations, and there'll actually be a surplus just from the tenancy of the building. And the third floor will be paid for by Alberta Health and Primary Care. They're two separate deals. Primary Care Alberta will pay for the staff and the floor rent, and the Alberta Health will pay for the compensation to specialists. And the U of A is, pretty well a total third party at arm's length deal. We're just the landlord for them. And the second floor is the pharmacy and daycare. And with that area there, even Alberta Health tried to get the space at $22 a square. And we ended up signing them up at 30 plus escalation to 36 within the first 5 years. So.
I don't know if you've dug through our budget for the year, but High Prairie's in a bit of a tight spot, but I can certainly get behind the idea of a satellite location in High Prairie. That's something I'd want to hear more about another day.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah.
The other thing we're going to do is once we get open, I'd like a representative from, like I did 32 presentations last year, and I'm on, I think, my 18th right now. I got to put my crop in before I finish the rest. But we'd like to, meet once a year and a representative bring to the table what's going on in their area. Because one of my concerns is if we raise them or train them and they stay in Grand Prairie too long, it's getting them out to these further out rural communities. So we need to make sure that we're staying in tune with that as leaders and keep approaching, making sure the U of A is making that clear to them students that, you're going to go out to High Prairie for your career after you're done here. You're going to go to Rainbow Lake, or we don't want just all of a sudden Grand Prairie becoming Edmonton, Calgary, where you can't get them outside of there, right? So.
Councillor Hanlon, any comments?
Hi, I guess my first question is this going to be an Indigenous center?
No, it's welcoming the Indigenous. That's one of the reasons we chose wood too. So it's a warming thing for them, and we've got art and stuff, and we've got, I've had an Indigenous person on the board the whole time. And no, it's welcoming them so they know that they're welcome there also. And even the pharmacy is going to have some of their traditional medicines in their facility, so.
Okay, thanks. And then my other question is, once you're operational, like if you're going to have specialists in the center geared to assisting patients in our area, so if a referral is made by a doctor to a specific specialist, would that go directly to the center or to like, let's use a urologist, for example. You have a urologist on staff, and there's other private urologists in Grand Prairie. There's some that work for Primary Care Alberta or AHS. How would that be navigated? Like, who would the referral go to?
Well, if they refer them to our facility, then an intake person will take them and direct them to the right the right place, and then there'll be follow-up back to their local doctor after, so. And
Thank you.
keeping the family involved, so.
Councilman Lane, any comments?
No comment at this time.
Deputy Mayor? I just, I'm looking through your, the screen for funding and community partners, and I guess it's a bit of a follow-up to Councillor Hanlon's comment. I noticed that there are no Aboriginal partners so far.
No, we're not pursuing they're engaged as far as I know verbally with us. And they know what we're doing, like Sturgeon Lake, Horse Lake and stuff, but we're not going after them for funding.
Okay,
The reason for that is they have their own issues within their communities and their own medic centers. What we're trying to do is make this a comfortable proposal for them to get their young students that have the education to be able to maybe come and become a doctor and return back to their community and help their situation out.
as one of the councillors commented on that we have right now, we're having a number of challenges to our budget. Our recreation facilities are coming close to the end of their lives. And so we also have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
But I certainly appreciate the presentation. I happened to be at the Grand Prairie Hospital, I think last week, and I saw your building going up. I just wonder if our CEO has any questions or comments.
No, I don't. I'm good.
Yeah, just so you understand, I'm not here for the money. Like, it's a gesture, and if you happen to have reserves someday or want to help out or have community members that you want to direct our way, that's fine. But we just put it out there because we don't know everyone's budgets or their reserves or what they have in mind going forward. So,
Well, we certainly appreciate your appreciation of our financial situation.
I'm a farmer. I know what that's like.
Thank you for your presentation.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
most of us at some point or other wind up going to the Grand Prairie Hospital because that's where our specialists are. And most of us will be walking by your building as it's going up.
Yeah.
So we wish you well.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. And don't hesitate to call anytime.
Okay. Have a safe trip home.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public delegations?
Just the auditors.
I don't see anybody
Yeah,
on there
Edward.
who you're pointing at.
Okay, you can bring them out. Okay,
I'm
Go
online.
ahead.
Can you guys hear me?
yes, we can hear you.
In addition to audio, don't we have video equipment?
You can see me, but I can't see you guys.
Oh, now I can see you.
Yeah, you want to look
Okay,
at
so
that?
I take it we're moving on to item 9.1, CEO.
Yes, that's correct.
And I take it that Shanda is going to be our guide.
Nope.
I know, I think he's pointing at you.
It's,
We've become accustomed to you being our guide, Shanda.
I know. But Edwards,
Oh, I can kind of see something on Shanda's video.
you
We can see you. Go ahead.
Okay, I can start. So thank you guys for having me. My name is Edward. I'm a partner at Doyle and Company, chartered professional accountants. We're your auditors. Thanks for having me. I know it's kind of short notice, but we just wanted to get something in front of you guys to talk about stuff and to hopefully get you guys submitted here before May 1st, right? So, like I said, I know it's kind of impromptu, but we have everything ready. And, I know there's a new council, so I'm going to go a little bit more into some detail about the audit and whatnot. And then Shanda and David are around to kind of supplement a lot of the information if need be. Okay. So, for 2020, so, when we first came into the audit, I think it was back in 22, 23, you guys were behind. Now you're caught up, and we kind of want to continue that way with your financial statements. For 2025, we are issuing you guys a clean, unqualified audit opinion. And we've done a lot of these presentations in the last little bit, and a lot of questions that we get is, what do you guys do exactly, right? So the financial statements are something that you guys prepare. We're your external auditors, and we're really big on independence, being professionally skeptical, objective. So usually what I usually tell everybody is, what does that mean when you're independent? Is so before we even accept the engagement to the town, we kind of look at the relationships that I have with my team as well, towards council, towards your finance team, towards the town in general. If everything is good, we move forward. We come to the town, we gather audit evidence, and then at that point, we kind of reassess that at that point in time before we move forward. Again, we kind of go, relationships change all the time. And what ends up happening is, everything's good, we move forward. And right before I issue your audit opinion, we take a look at that time as well. So in addition to that, that's a big thing for us, right? So, you get your financial statements audited every year. That hasn't changed. It might be us as your auditor, it might be somebody else, but the fact of the matter is you guys get an audit every year. December 31st, 2025 is going to be a clean, unqualified audit opinion, and we are going to have this submitted to municipal affairs before May 1st. Okay, so that's a big deal. And then the next part of this, I'm going to kind of go through the numbers a bit. I hope you guys have something to look at in front of you. Otherwise, I'm just reading you out numbers.
We have a copy of the financial statements in front of us.
Perfect. That's awesome. So this year has been an interesting one for presentations. And I'll say that because everybody is asking me, well, what can we do to make sure we're on the right track? Make sure that everything is good. And how do we even just pick this statement up and look at it to see where we're at? So hopefully I can answer that question for you guys and by this presentation, and I'll point you to a couple of schedules that are, I think, really, really important. And then the way I usually do this is if you guys have any questions about the audit itself, feel free to ask me. It's what I'm here for. If you want details in terms of what goes into each one of the numbers, Shanda and David are available for anything and everything that you guys have to ask. Okay. So on page 4, the statement of financial position, your cash and temporary investments end off the year at $14,758,679. Okay, so when you look at that number, that's cash in the bank. It's cash. When I look at that, you have to look at it in a couple of different spots, and that's going to get to a more clear point when I get to schedule 1 here. But I'll kind of keep going through the financial assets first. Your accounts receivable, taxes receivable is $281,000. Receivables from other government, $1,650,000. And then your trade and other receivables is about $1.1 million. Okay, small investment, $52,863. Your total financial assets for the town is $17,920,774. Okay, so accounts payables and accrued liabilities, $1,082,000. Deposit liabilities, $85,000. Deferred revenue is a big one, right? It's $1.8 million. What deferred revenue is, it's generally for money for projects that you've already received and the projects haven't been done yet, right? So you got the cash. In some cases you haven't. If it's related to MSI projects, submit your SFEs. It's parked in that receivables from other government. And then when that happens, those projects, you'll see that the receivables and the deferred revenue come down. But there is a list of everything I talked about in something we call the notes to financial statements. So, I'm going to talk about a lot of this, but this is it's about a 30-page document with a lot of information in it. Okay. So and then your long-term debt is $706,000. Okay. And then we'll talk about your debt limit in just a little bit, but your total liabilities is $3.7 million. Your total net financial assets, which is your financial assets less your liabilities, is $14,209,668. Tangible capital assets is $45 million. So we classify these things called non-financial assets. Your inventory is 328,000. You got a small prepaid for $2,800. Okay. Total accumulated surplus is just shy of $60 million. So all this, so this is generally, it's called your statement of financial position. Generally, it's referred to as your balance sheet. And then any questions on that page?
Oh, just keep going.
Keep going. All right. So then we got your statement of operations, your total revenue for the year. So this includes everything from your net municipal taxes, user fees and sales, other franchise fines, everything. Your total revenue that the town brings in is $12.2 million. Your expenses for the year is $11,829,984. That includes everything from administration, road, streets, airport, water, gas distribution, everything there. So your total excess of revenue over expenses is $439,000. That's before the government transfers for capital, which is $3.2 million. And then you have another snippet of your accumulated surplus there, which ends off the year at 61 million. Okay. So I'm going to go right to, if you guys have that document in front of you, if you go over to page 8, schedule 1, which is your changes in accumulated operating surplus. I tell this to every town that we audit. And every municipality that we audit is, if you just zone me out and don't care about anything I say, just pay attention to this one page. Because to us, this is a really, really important schedule. This traditionally, if you go back far enough into your financial statements, it wasn't there in 2022. We put this in there when we started auditing you guys, just because to us, it's just a crucial piece of information. It gives you the overview of where you guys are at the beginning of the year. Plus minus your revenues over expenditures, your transfers over from unrestricted to restricted, all that sort of stuff is present in here. It's after your tangible capital asset purchases, your amortizations, your long-term debt repayments. So it's a really, really important schedule to present. So you guys started the year on your unrestricted at $4.1 million. After transferring $1.5 million to your internally restricted and funding $3 million in tangible capital assets and paying some long-term debt off, that change in accumulated surplus, you're adding about $1.1 million to your unrestricted surplus. Okay. So your internally restricted surplus, which is what your reserves are, it started the year at $8.4 million. You're adding $1.5 million to that. So you're ending off just shy of $10 million in your reserves. So when you remember when I talked about how much money you have in the bank account, when you look at that unrestricted and restricted surplus there, it's pretty close to that number, right? So you guys have that amount of money available, not only to support your reserves, but a little bit of contingency left over for some things as well. Equity and tangible capital assets end off the year at 44 million. And then it ends off there 2025 at $59 million, your total accumulated surplus. And then if we go further down the page, we got schedule 2 on page 9. So any questions on that schedule 1? Nothing? Not at this point?
Just keep going. We'll have questions at the end.
Okay, sounds good. So your tangible capital assets there, you can see what the additions are for the year. Total, like I said, is $2.9 million. And then additional schedules for page 10 for your property taxes, government transfer schedules, statement of expenditures by object schedules. And then the rest of this financial statements are notes to your financial statements. Okay. So What this is everything that I've talked about is included in here, and in a little bit more detail. So, you know, if you guys have, you know, any sort of, if you guys want to read this later on, it's all available to you. Once we upload this, or once we send this to Municipal Affairs, they'll have this available on their website as well. And then, yeah, so all that sort of stuff. Oh, then debt limits, I was talking about that earlier. So the town has $700,000 in debt right now. The total debt limit available with that as well is $17.6 million. The amount of your debt service limit is $2.8 million. So one of the things we've seen this year a lot, and a lot of questions that I've been getting is, you know, we have access to all this amount of debt. At what point do we get scared? Or do we get, when do we start borrowing from this? So traditionally what ends up happening is, you know, when you have projects and whatnot, you can pull up to that amount. I never really advise to pull to the upper limits, because that's, you know, that's a basis of your revenue, right? If you have a year where your revenue drops, that debt limit is going to drop as well, right? So you have to be able to almost manage that as well. Yeah, the rest of the notes of the financial statement in here talks about the rest, your unrestricted surplus. The breakdowns on the next slide for note 11 has your unrestricted and your reserves in place as well. And then yeah, that's kind of it. Then your salaries and benefits are on here as well, and then a couple of extra notes. So anything at this point? I got
So if that hasn't confused you, which is why I provide a little extra perspective to the financials, because basically, it's hard to read financial statements for those that aren't accountants and used to this year after year after 30 years. What the public really wants to know, are we financially healthy? Can we, as I've mentioned in my report, are we able to withstand economic uncertainty? Or, do we have the ability to plan for the future? And can we keep this? Then the most important question that the public likes to ask, can we keep municipal taxes at a reasonable level and avoiding spikes in tax revenue in any particular year? So to give a comfort feeling to the public, there are financial health ratios which are common amongst provinces and municipalities that I use every year when I see a financial statement. And number one, with a municipal tax burden, there's a threshold. If your tax burden reaches above 3%, it puts a strain. It's more of a strain on the residential property owners. And on a municipal tax basis, our percentage is 2.28, which is well below the 3%. But the public doesn't really care about that. They just as we all do, we have to include the provincial requisitions. And even including those, it brings it up to 2.95%, just below that 3% tax burden ratio. So that's good that way. So to give the public a little comfort that way. Deficits, the threshold, if you have more than 2 deficits over a 5-year period, that's a problem. We aren't addressing in the future budgets, the previous year's deficits. Right now, we only have 1 deficit within the last 5 years, and that was in 2022. And that was only for 36,080. So it was a minuscule, and it was followed by 3 years of significant surpluses after that. Budget accuracy, that's important too, because when we present council and the public with our operating budgets, how accurate are we? Are we overtaxing? Are we, are we making estimates that don't appear reasonable? And then when the year end comes, do we all of a sudden have a very significant surplus, which is a signal that perhaps our estimates in the budget were revenues might have been understated and expenses overstated. But I can report to you that over the past 3 years, the threshold for this is if anything over 8%, you aren't entirely accurate. And in our case, and it was an exceptional year over the past 3 years, we exceeded that threshold at 9.58%. But that doesn't necessarily mean we were wrong. One of those years was I think 2023, and we had a deficit or surplus of, let me get it here, a surplus of 1.9 million. But that was basically because coming out of COVID or just at the end of COVID, we had reduced contracted services and materials and supplies expenses, which were very low and caused a significant surplus and skewed the actual budget performance. But over 5 years, the accuracy is well under the threshold, and it was at 5.74% instead of the 8%. So I can assure you that our administration is very good with its budget accuracy. Debt service and outstanding debt, as he's mentioned, we have a lot of debt capacity that we could access, but the problem there, of course, is with debt servicing, the principal pay down every year plus the interest, that affects the tax rate directly. So we have to be careful how we use our debt. But right now, if push came to shove, if we have something extraordinary that happened in any one year, or if we're planning on, as a multi-rec facility, whether rehab the existing sports palace or replacing it altogether, we can access some of our debt. And I agree with Edward that we don't want to go to the maximum amount of the debt availability, but we want to be prudent because we would be increasing our tax revenue, and that's a burden on the public. Asset management, when you look at what I always call depreciation or amortization, when your acquisitions of capital assets or renewal of existing assets is lower than your amortization that you're putting against your assets, if it's lower, that means we aren't replacing our existing assets fast enough. We've been a little bit inconsistent in that way, but in 2026, that will be significantly addressed because there's a carryover of the water treatment plant upgrade, which will be done this year. And then we have the new gas supply line, which will be a new asset. And that'll bring us up to the capital investment threshold. Reserves should at a minimum be 10% of total expenditures. The town is at 84% of total expenditures. That doesn't mean that we've been saving too much, because we know that we have major projects in the short run here. And while total reserves have been growing at a 12.79% annually for the past 7 years, capital reserves over the past 3 years have been increasing 40.3% a year in anticipation of these major infrastructure projects, the water, sewer, roads in the near future. And then in 5 to 10 years, the major rehab or replacement of the sports palace. The tax base of residential assessments have increased by only 3.73% from 2024 to 25, and the non-residential assessments had very little growth at 0.4%. The last spreadsheet that I have here, and it's on the income statement trends. I like to show this over the last 5 years, showing all the revenues and expenses and comparing it to the inflation that have occurred. Inflation over the past 6 years has been an average of 3.37% a year. Revenues have actually fallen slightly behind inflation and have only grown 3.15% per year. And the administration has held the line on expenses over the years with an annual average increase of only 1.76%, so much lower than the inflation rate. So all in all, we are, as a small, we have a small budget compared to the county and we are a small municipality, but we are solidly financially healthy. So I wanted to give the public with that assurance with the numbers that you see in the financial statements.
Okay, we'll go around to all the counselors. If you have any questions for Edward, if you have questions for our CEO, we'll probably save them till next Tuesday. But let's just focus on our guest. Are there any questions or comments for Edward? Starting with Councillor Mindelein.
Good evening, Edward.
Hey, good
I don't know if you
evening.
can hear me.
Yep.
Overall, I've gone through them and I'm pretty well impressed by it. It looks like a good job. I just wanted to make sure the one statement is everything seemed to be going good accounting wise and that there's no red flags that we should be aware of or anything like that, or everything's going good.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's a really good question. So, I took a look at these as well. And, like I said, we do a lot of similar sized municipalities, and I may forget to mention this earlier when I was presenting, but, in terms of when I look at these numbers, and David did a really good job with his analysis and his information brought to council as well. I see a lot of municipalities just this as part of my job. And honestly, you guys have the ability to support your reserves. You have a reserve. That's been a big concern in 2025 in the presentations this year. Sorry, in this year. One of the biggest things as well is you guys have 700 grand in debt, and that's it, right? So, it's for a town your size, you have minimal debt. You have the cash in the bank account to support your reserves, to support your unrestricted, to support these projects, and everything else. Like you guys are a small town, but you guys are managing everything well. And like I said, we go through this like we do for every other municipality. We're up here, independent, and we just go through these, and we go through the same checks and balances we do for anybody of any size. And honestly, Shanda, David, and the finance and administration team have done a really good job at helping us push through this, make sure you guys are on time. And the numbers, like I said, they're your guys' numbers. They're a reflection of you. This is nothing to do with me. I didn't have to do a single thing in terms of the numbers that are presented to you, except for audit them.
Excellent. That's good to hear. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any more? Councillor Hanlon, any questions or comments?
I have no questions, thanks.
Councillor Martinson. Councillor Temple. Councillor Shunter.
Did I miss an email, or is this the first time we've gotten this data? Okay. Well, when I've had a chance to read it, I'm sure I'll have questions, but having it sprung on me. Well, the only thing that is jumping out at me, can you talk about how you define a healthy reserve? To me, in my mind, a healthy reserve is a percentage of the total replacement cost of all assets. It doesn't make sense to me why you define a healthy reserve as a percentage of expenditures. Could you explain the reasoning behind it for me?
That's a question for David.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
what's
Edward, if
what's
you wanna
Edward's
add to
thoughts
that.
on what is a healthy reserve for a community?
For sure. I think the reason I said that in general, I think this is a healthy reserve is because of the fact that I've seen probably at least a dozen towns now where some have reserves and some don't. The fact that you guys have about almost just shy of $10 million in a reserve, Yeah, you know what? Honestly, a reserve can be as high as you want it to be and how much you want it to be. If you want it to be $50 million, I would say, yeah, that's a great reserve. But I'm just looking at pure size of the town of High Prairie versus, what I've seen in the past. Some people don't have, some people have a couple million in reserves. Some people have reserves that are not funded. Some people have, yeah, certainly more reserves than you guys. But, when we kind of look at the numbers in itself, I look at the reserve number and you have a reserve there. You have the ability to support some projects going forward. And most importantly to us, as the auditor, you have the cash available to support that reserve. Which I mean, we take for granted, but it does happen in a lot of municipalities where that's not the case. So, I guess in your point of view, sure, you know what, I would love that reserve to be $45 million as well. But for what it's worth, I think that you have 10 million there and you have 10 million in the bank account to support that. And I think that's a really good job.
But how do you come up with 45 million? Is it a percentage of assets or is it a percentage of what?
So 45 million is your total net book value of your tangible capital assets. So that's what everything the town owns right now is worth, after depreciation, $45 million. Okay. So right now your reserves are, what's the exact number here? I think it was about $9,980,099. Okay. So that number can, I guess, never be too high, right? Because that's kind of your savings for the future going forward. But I guess what I'm trying to say is you guys have something there. You're adding about $1.5 million to that every year. You started the year off at $8.4 million. You've added another $1.5 million to your reserves. To me, for a town this size, I think that's pretty good.
Thank you.
Yeah, Schedule 1 includes both cash and non-cash reserves, the non-cash being almost 45 million and the cash being roughly, was it 14?
Exactly.
Any other questions? Deputy Mayor? Thank you very much, Edward.
Thank
I have
you.
a question for you. Whatever happened to Alan Gerlich?
He's still around. We give him an office upstairs.
Okay. Please pass him my regards. I've known Alan for a few decades.
Okay, I will say hi to him for you for sure, Dan.
Okay. To conclude this item, we go to the third page where the options are that council approve the audited financial statements as presented or receive them for information. Our deadline for this document to be filed with Municipal Affairs is May 1. I would argue that we should not be accepting it just for information. We have to get this thing done. Did you have a question, Councillor Shunder?
Well, we haven't read it yet, so I can't vote in favor of that out of principle, but.
Councillor Martinson? Councillor Martinson is making the motion. Please read your motion.
The council approved the 2025 audited financial statement as presented.
Okay, any questions or comments on the motion? We are being presented this with a very short gap between, what is it, Tuesday and Friday. I think we haven't had a chance to see this with ample time. I want to point out that we have a committee of the whole meeting on Tuesday, and I myself have a number of questions about reserves and about deferred revenue. I notice a very large deferred revenue, meaning that a number of projects are outstanding. But we'll save our questions for our CAO till Tuesday. Let's just focus on what our auditor has said. And are there any questions or comments on the motion as approved as presented? Any questions or comments? Motion being made. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much, Edward.
Thank you,
I
guys.
was going to say thank you for traveling up here, but I'll retract that since you haven't. But
Okay, next time we will. And we have had, I did talk to Shanda and David about this as well. We're gonna revamp some stuff for going forward. If we're still auditing you guys next year, we're gonna try to come up here and get a time frame here so we can at least pass something to you guys a little bit earlier. But we will have a report for you guys here just to make sure everything is good and we can kind of keep this forward.
yeah, I think that we would appreciate that we received this a few weeks
Mhm.
earlier than we have. I have another question, having sat through many audit exit conferences and many with Doyle for that matter. We've always had a closed session in which the auditor asks the counselors if they have any reason to discuss something in closed session. And I notice that's not in your procedure this time. Why?
We usually do that. I agree. And I think we've done that here in the past as well. I think just given the time frame that we've had this year, it's we're trying to get in front of council and to get this on time.
Yes, just so
Okay,
if I can, sorry, go ahead.
It's not a step that I think we should skip over too lightly.
I
And
agree.
let's next time, let's make sure that we include it. Okay? Go ahead,
100%.
CEO.
Yeah, normally, the auditor will also discuss with council in closed about any recommendations they have with the practices or what they've seen during the audit, what can be done better. So we received these financial statements on Friday, so that's Saturday night. So we did have to rush to get this in so we could make the May 1st. I don't know what the delay was, Edward. I don't know if you can elaborate on it. Did the audit start later?
There's just some more stuff to put in here just to make sure. So our important thing is just to make sure these things are accurately reflected, rather than just kind of getting pushed through, right? So, like I said, I'll have a report for you guys that outlays everything, but we do have a timeline scheduled for going forward that hopefully addresses the issue, so we're not dealing with this on a last minute basis.
Okay, so in the future, of course, we would like to have a more complete exit
Mhm.
interview.
100%, I totally agree.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Edward, and we look
Thank you, guys.
forward to a more expeditious one next year.
Hey,
You
I
have
hope
to
so too.
remember that this is a brand new council and we
Yeah.
will be here next year.
Awesome. I look
Good.
forward to it.
And we
no,
have
we'll-
long memories. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, guys.
Okay. Thank you,
Okay.
Edward.
Yep, take care. We'll see you guys
Moving
soon.
on with schedule with the public delegations. Do we have any public delegations? I'm looking right at you, Jerry. Did you want to make a presentation to council? You do know there's an Oilers game tonight that you're missing, isn't it? Okay. We will have a report, moving on then to our enforcement services, and then we're going to have a bit of a body break for a few minutes, okay? But let's not leave our officers just sitting there looking at us. Come on up, Brady. We're now on page 23 of your meeting package.
Good evening,
Go
Council.
ahead.
Hope everybody's doing well. First things first, I just wanted to kind of introduce our new employee. So this is Mackenzie Charbonneau. She was hired for the 3rd peace officer position with the town of High Prairie. Right now, you might notice that she's wearing patches that say bylaw officer. It's just she's temporarily focused more on bylaw duties until we receive her peace officer appointment from the provincial government, which gives her the additional authorities to act as a peace officer. Couple things from my report today. For the month of March, we had issued 37 provincial violation tickets. 10 provincial warning tickets were issued. There was 9 municipal tickets issued for parking related offenses. We're still at a total of 4 for gaming and liquor act related offenses this year. As of March 2026, we had 63 completed complaint files. And throughout the month of March, we had 2 trespassing complaints that were just on municipal property. Moving on to the statistical report, kind of just breaks down things a little bit more in detail. There was 4 tickets issued for the animal control bylaw. There was 4 tickets issued for school zone speeding violations. 11 tickets issued for speeding violations just in general throughout the town. 1 issue with commercial vehicles under the traffic bylaw. Municipal bylaw other. So that was in relation to the 9 parking tickets that were issued in March. Unsightly nuisance, there was 2 letters issued to 2 different properties here in town. Along with that, there was also 2 warnings issued. And then just bringing it back to the total provincial fines issued, which was 37, and then total municipal fines that were issued for the month, which was 9, bringing the estimated revenue to be around $4,323 for the provincial fines and around $450 for the municipal. Council may notice that there is a little bit more of an information report in regards to a trespass agent program. So this is something that I've been working on since July of 2025. Throughout my extremely busy days, I finally was able to get everything completed, or most things completed. So this information report, I kind of just wanted to put in front of council just to give you guys a little bit more information on what the program entails, what it's all about, and all of that. So basically, business owners or commercial property owners within the town of High Prairie can register to sign up with the town of High Prairie Enforcement Services. We've got a little form that's just on page 29. The trespass agent program would allow us as enforcement services to be a little bit more proactive when it comes to trespassing related concerns. So instead of having to wait for property owners to give us a call or having to contact the property owner upon observing an offense, we can now basically have this form signed, which the property owner gives us authorization to act on their behalf. And then we can take the enforcement action and deal with all of the court proceedings and everything that kind of follows with that. It's been something that we've been trialing over the last year with some businesses that have had frequent issues with trespassers. And it's proving to be good so far. So yeah, I just wanted to bring it in front of council for information while I finish the policy, which I'll probably be bringing forward to you guys at the next council meeting. Beyond that, that's all I have really for my report at this time. Open any questions.
Where's your dog?
She's at home,
Ah.
where she should be.
Oh, it's where she should. I usually see her padding up and down the hallway.
It's been almost 2 months now. but
Okay.
She's doing better.
Well, you know our procedure. We now go around the table and invite councillors to make their comments or questions, starting with Councillor Martinson.
I see the town of Fallara has requested your presence to their council meeting on May 6th.
Correct, yes.
Did you go there last year? Did you make a presentation to them last year? Or?
No, so I mean, this is only my second year being with the town, but last year we were not requested by the town of Fallara to attend their council meetings. So not sure what has changed this year. Maybe it's just a different council. They want to put some faces to the names and talk about what they want for priorities within the community.
Okay, Councillor Temple,
No questions?
I would,
Councillor Shunter.
excuse me.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Martinson.
I would
Follow up.
suggest you, when you do go up, is take Mackenzie with you and introduce her too, and
For sure. Sorry, that was the plan. I also plan to have Edwin attend with me as well, just because I don't believe he's had the chance to meet many of the administration within Fuller.
Councillor Shunter.
Just real briefly, can you walk me through the process for trespassing somebody? I believe currently somebody's on my property. I issue them a trespass notice. They leave, they come back. Currently, you observe them on the property. You got to contact me to remove them? Is that what? we're
I would
changing?
need authority from you, yes, to take the enforcement action
And
because
this-
it's your property.
And this form allows you to take the enforcement action without contacting me when you observe them on the property, if they have a trespass already issued to them.
Correct.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Councillor Hanlon.
Hi, first of all, welcome to High Prairie, Mackenzie. And then my question is with regards to this trespassing initiative. Now, would you guys be going out to meet with all the businesses and let them know about it? Or how would you get the word out to them?
I do plan on going out and informing all of the businesses once I get everything finalized and in place. There has been a couple of properties that I've briefly mentioned the program to already, and just that I'm in the process of working on it and that I would follow up with more information upon completion of it. But to answer your question, yes, I do plan on going around to the businesses, including it in our monthly newsletter, and then possibly making a post upon the Facebook page where people can sign up and ask questions if they have.
Thank you.
Councillor Mindine.
No questions. Everything's been asked pretty well, so thanks and welcome to the
Mayor.
community.
Well, thank you for your report. Welcome to High Prairie, Mackenzie. I think the trespass program is very logically preemptive. Thanks. It makes a lot of sense, and it certainly takes an annoying step out of the process. And since you've already accepted the invitation of the town of Falher, we wish you well there. Just remember, they make a significant contribution to your salaries.
I'll keep that in mind.
Thought I'd throw that in. So thank you for your report, and I would entertain a motion to receive their report for information. Councillor Mindine? Any further questions or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
It is now 7:19. We'll come back at 7:30 and take a body break. Okay? When does the game start? Either.